I wasn't classy enough for my cousin's wedding. Until karma hit back. My name is Savannah Blake, and in my family, I was always the odd one out. While my cousins were trained to be picture-perfect examples of class, I was the one who wore jeans to dinner, laughed too loud, and didn't know, or care, which fork to use at a formal meal. And my Aunt Cheryl never let me forget it. So when my cousin Madison announced her engagement, I already knew her wedding was going to be an over-the-top, Instagram-perfect affair. Madison was obsessed with her Pinterest vision, and the guest list was curated like a red carpet event. I didn't expect to be the maid of honor or anything, but I figured I'd at least get an invitation. I mean, we were family, but the invite never came. I brushed it off until a mutual friend let it slip. Madison had decided not to invite me because I wasn't classy enough. Her exact words. Apparently, I didn't fit the aesthetic of her big day. It stung, not just because I missed the event, but because I was excluded on purpose for being myself. A few days later, while venting to Mark, the son of my longtime mentor Mr. Daniels, I casually mentioned the wedding drama. Mark asked where the wedding was, and when I told him the venue, he froze. That's one of my dad's properties. He owns it. That was the moment everything changed. Turns out, my cousin and her mother used MY name to get a discount at that exclusive venue. They told the venue staff they were close family friends of mine and that I had referred them. They got a special rate by lying and name-dropping me, after cutting me out of the guest list. Mr. Daniels wasn't amused. Not only had they committed fraud, but they did it using his business and my reputation. He canceled their contract on the spot. The wedding was shut down just hours before it was supposed to begin. Guests arrived in dresses and suits, only to be turned away. Madison, in her white designer dress, threw a screaming fit. Aunt Cheryl tried to argue with the venue staff. And the groom? He quietly walked away and never came back. The wedding didn't happen. The picture-perfect day imploded under the weight of its own lies. And me? I spent that weekend at a lake cabin, drinking wine in my favorite hoodie, watching the sun set over the water. Turns out, class isn't about matching napkins or curated playlists. It's about honesty, kindness, and having the guts to be real. And on that score, I won. The days after the wedding disaster were a blur of messages, whispers, and online fallout. I didn't seek it out, but it found me anyway. Screenshots, group chats, even a few dramatic voice notes floated my way. I became the ghost at the wedding, the name everyone kept whispering, not because I was there, but because I wasn't. Madison and Aunt Cheryl tried damage control. Madison posted a filtered photo from her bridal shoot, captioned, "Some things don't go as planned, but grace always shines through." The comments were a mix of sympathy and confusion. Grace? From where I was sitting, Grace had nothing to do with it. Aunt Cheryl took to Facebook like a general on a PR mission. She wrote a long post about forgiveness and moving forward, conveniently skipping the whole lying on a legal document part. But the damage was done. Enough people knew the truth. And once truth leaks, it spreads. Mark texted me again. "Heard your cousin tried to book another venue and got rejected." Apparently, word travels fast. Mr. Daniels had said it wasn't personal, but in the business world, trust is currency. And they'd bankrupt themselves on day one. I went back to work, back to normal. Or, well, my kind of normal. And something strange started happening. People who had quietly dismissed me before, extended relatives, family friends, started reaching out. "Didn't know you were connected like that." One uncle wrote. "Your post about class really hit," someone DM'd. Even my mom, who had stayed mostly silent throughout this whole thing, sent me a message. No apology. Just, "I'm proud of how you handled everything." That was enough. Madison, she never reached out. Not once. Cheryl either. I heard through the grapevine the wedding never got rescheduled. The engagement fizzled out a few weeks later. Something about Brad needing space. Turns out, he didn't sign up for the drama. Or maybe, when he saw Madison screaming in her dress in front of 100 guests, the illusion cracked. People have breaking points. That was his. Mine was long before the wedding. But now it felt like closure. And me? I didn't throw a party or gloat. I made brownies. I lit a candle. I poured a glass of wine, sat on my couch, and watched something funny. Not classy. Just real. Because turns out, being real beats being classy every damn time. Savannah sat on the porch of her lakeside cabin, the last rays of the sun casting a golden shimmer across the water. Her phone lay silent on the small table beside her, finally free from the chaos of calls, messages, and digital fallout. For the first time in what felt like days, there was peace. Real, unfiltered peace. She sipped her wine, not the fancy kind Madison might flaunt, but something she genuinely enjoyed. She scrolled briefly through the comments on her recent post, the one that had gone semi-viral among her extended family and beyond. Turns out class isn't about the dress code, it read. The picture showed nothing but a wine glass, water, and a bit of worn-in flannel. The reactions had been telling. Some silent likes, some private messages of solidarity, and, of course, the total silence from Madison and Aunt Cheryl. She didn't expect an apology. Not from them. But she also didn't need one, because the truth was finally out there. No more curated narratives where Savannah was the odd one out, but not classy enough, the wild card. The wedding fiasco had exposed everything, the hypocrisy, the fakery, and the entitlement. And all she had to do was be herself. A knock on the cabin door pulled her from her thoughts. She frowned, a little surprised. No one knew she was here except a handful of friends. She walked over cautiously and opened the door. It was Mark. "Thought you might want some company," he said, holding up a bag with 2 takeout containers. She blinked, then smiled. "As long as you brought fries." "Always." They sat on the porch together, watching the last bit of sun disappear behind the trees. "So," he said after a while, "feel vindicated yet?" Savannah shrugged. "Not vindicated. Just finally seen. And finally done pretending I have to earn a seat at a table that never had a place for me." Mark smiled. "You know, that's a hell of a lot classier than anything Madison ever pulled off." She chuckled, clinking her wine glass lightly against his soda can. No vengeance. No public takedowns. Just truth, revealed in time. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something entirely new. Savannah didn't need to crash a wedding to prove a point. Her name had already done that. And now, she was writing her own story, one where she chose the guest list, the dress code, and most importantly, the peace.